I've been trying to figure out how to start this video for like 3 days because 4 months in, I have a lot to say. Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Jess. I love to yap on the internet and I also share vlogs about my life, and currently I'm on a undefined amount of time, probably 1 year, maybe less than 1 year, road trip around Europe. I'm from Australia and my boyfriend and I bought a car in England, flew over to England, picked up the car and have been road tripping ever since. We left Australia on the 7th of January and it is now getting towards the end of April, and I thought it would be really interesting to sit down and have a chat about how it's going and how, I feel about everything, because it's a pretty huge life change and I think it's fun to document this kind of stuff. I think it's funny because when you have a dream of something like this, or a dream for anything in your life, I guess, you really do have a vision for it. It's such an idealized version of what you want, because the reason you want it is because it's something that you think will be amazing. And it's funny to me how real life feels even when you're doing something crazy, and how quickly something crazy becomes the normal. This time last year, even 6 months ago or 5 months ago, I couldn't imagine where I would be sitting right now. I'm currently in a small wine growing community in Germany for a week of rest and recovery after being in Paris last week. And it's crazy to have this trip come to life after dreaming it up in my head for so long. And to tell you the truth, I really do think I ran away from my life, and that's because I was unhappy with where I was and I knew I needed a big change, a big stir up to get to the next bit. And I think sometimes if you want a big change in your life, you really have to shake things up yourself and have a big enough change that the change can actually happen for you, if that makes sense. And the version of me that boarded the plane really did think that this trip would shape her into who she has always dreamed of becoming. And I do think this trip is completely changing me and shaping me and helping me become more of myself and a closer, more authentic version of myself and who I want to be. But it's also interesting how I'm also just who I am, and I'm not completely changed, because I've always been who I am and I will continue to be who I am. Just different, more confident or more settled version of myself, I guess. So what's actually been happening in the last 4 months? Well, I've been to a lot of different countries. I think maybe the highlight of the trip so far has been driving from England to Sweden in 4 days, which was 30 hours. It's like a very, very big driving road trip to try to see the Northern Lights, and then succeeding and seeing them and having ticked something so big off my bucket list is very, very magical to me. It was such a special night and it's something I still think about a lot, and I think it's so cool to have so much magic so early on in the trip as well. We've also just been in Paris for about 5 days, and that really drained me. I was very surprised by that. I think the previous times I've been to Europe or been traveling, because it has been 8 years since I've been overseas, probably 7 or 8 years, and that's a long time, and I've changed so much. And the last time I was in Europe, I loved the cities, or I thought I did, and I was so happy to be in the hustle and bustle, and I've really grown to appreciate a quiet and slow life. And I think all the work I've done in the last 8 years to regulate my nervous system, I've actually lost my ability to tolerate cities completely. And it is actually baffling to be in these places that I've been so excited to return to, and come here with Jackson and, be in Paris with Jackson, and then not only like dislike it on a surface level, but feel it so deeply in my core that I just feel so uncomfortable and uneasy in cities. I don't like the lack of greenery or nature. I don't like the chaos and how stressful it is and how many people are there. And while these places are so beautiful and I feel so lucky to see them, it's really teaching me what I truly value in life and where I want to be, and the environments that really help me feel like myself and help me feel alive. And that is definitely places that are smaller, less busy, with more nature. I also was really proud of myself because in Sweden I did one of those ice dips in a frozen lake. My friend actually took me there, and I feel so lucky to have been able to go there with a Swedish local and go to an authentic place and have an authentic experience that I didn't think I was going to be able to do. I genuinely thought I would never be able to do that because I couldn't handle it, and it was so much better than I thought it was going to be. And I'm really proud of myself for doing that, because it wasn't an experience I anticipated having or something that I thought I was even capable of. So that was surprising, and I think that taught me a lot about how much I can actually handle, and helped me realize that sometimes I don't give myself enough credit and I can do more than I think I can. And I think maybe one of the best and worst parts is catching up with all my friends from 7 years ago when I was on exchange, and then having to say goodbye again. It is so bittersweet to wait so long to see people that mean so much to you and then only get to spend a day, an evening, a couple days with them, and then have to say goodbye again and not know how long it is until you see them again. It is beautiful and special and sad sometimes. I think I've learned a lot from this trip so far. I came here with basically zero clarity about what I wanted for my future. I didn't know where I wanted to live. I felt very unsettled. I felt like I hadn't lived enough yet, and that I didn't know exactly what was meant for me or what made me truly happy. And coming here very quickly made it clear to me that I do really want to move to the Gold Coast when I go home and live a life where I can walk to the beach and journal in the mornings and drink my coffee slowly, read a lot, have a lot of time in the sun, and be in a place where also we can build our business that's very natural and aligned, and also just be somewhere that feels so nourishing for me. Having lived in Sydney my whole life, it was kind of hard to admit that maybe that's not the place for me forever. And when you think you want to move and then you tell people that, a lot of people have opinions, and I constantly doubted myself and doubted whether I knew what I wanted or if there was something better out there or somewhere better. And I had this idealized image of Europe and thinking that that's where I wanted to be. And now I have so much clarity that I love Europe and I love coming here for holidays and seeing small towns and, discovering the beauty here and the food and the culture. But I don't want to live here. I do want to live in the Gold Coast. And I think having that realization is actually the biggest blessing. And also being excited to go home to move there is so nice, because I also worried that when I came here, I wouldn't want to go home, and that would not be good. I'm glad that I feel like I want to make a settled life and I will be ready to do that after this. So if nothing else, having left and then gaining that clarity, that has made this trip 100% worth it to me, because now I know exactly what I want and I can go into it with complete certainty, which I never had before. I've also realized on this trip that running away from your life doesn't actually solve your problems. And I know everyone says that, and I know that I already knew that that wasn't true, but I did hope that coming over here, I would suddenly shed all of the limiting beliefs and the doubt that I've carried for perhaps my whole life, and that I would find it easy to become the woman I dream of being and the person that I feel is truly authentic and aligned to myself without all of the external crap that's put on you your whole life. And I do feel like I'm becoming that version of myself. I'm changing and growing and all that stuff, but I'm still me, like I said. And the limiting beliefs, the stuff you have to unlearn and the growth you have to do doesn't just like magically disappear. It still takes work. It still takes time. I do think it is easier in a different environment, but the environment isn't the magic spell. Do you know what I mean? It's not the magic ingredient. It is just one part to help, and you can become whoever you want to be wherever you are. But I also do think that if you have a calling or you feel like you are being pulled to move somewhere or go somewhere or take a trip, you really should do that, and you should prioritize it, because I put this trip off for so long with excuses about time and money and commitments and blah, 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 blah. But then we did this when we did not have the perfect time or the perfect financial situation or the perfect anything really. It was actually kind of a bad time, but we'd already committed. And as soon as we got here, we knew it was the right decision. And it's kind of crazy that we'd put it off so long, if that makes sense. Right now, I feel like I'm just trying to figure out how to travel. I had this idealized version, and I thought I would have it figured out by now, because we've been gone for almost 4 months. And I really thought that it would be this time of complete abundance and creative outlet and opportunity. And while it is, it's also a lot of admin, and it's really tiring, and it's hard to not have a routine and be constantly uprooted every few days or every week to somewhere new and be on the road so much. And I've also had some unexpected health things come up, and I had to do a bunch of medical tests in the Netherlands and navigate the insurance and the this and the that. And I knew that obstacles would come up and challenges would come up, but I didn't think that it would be the way it is. And maybe that's naive of me, but it's just the truth. I stand by the fact, and I've said this a lot of times to people in my life, that you need to be naive about how things are going to be. Otherwise you won't try anything. You need to be naive about how it's going to be easy, because if you're not, like, why would you ever start? So that's not something I'm bothered about, the fact that I was naive, but I guess just being here, I thought I would have it figured out, and I thought it would be easy to create content. I thought that this traveling was going to be my magic moment, my magic ingredient, as I said, to becoming a content creator like I've always dreamed of, and being able to share my life online and build a community. And that hasn't happened. It's been 4 months. I've posted a bit, but it's not been consistent because I have a lot of things to do at a lot of different times. I've started a business, and that has its own challenges, and I did not expect to start a business while I've been here. So that's crazy. And, you know, I have the same 360 followers on Instagram, and it's grown on YouTube a bit, but that's because of F1 content. And I love making content about F1, but it's not like truly who I am to my core and the only thing that I want to post about. And I'm very hesitant to just keep posting about F1 just to grow when I want my brand to be different from that and so much more than that. And yeah, it is different than what I expected. And I think that I feel a little bit guilty about living the dream and being over here and finally living in this amazing reality where I get to travel and go wherever I want to have complete freedom, and then still having hard days during that, because I still do have a lot of the same feelings like I did at home, but for different reasons. And I'm trying to navigate through that and not move on, but like change my perspective and let old beliefs go and, you know, become a different version of myself who sees things differently. But it is hard sometimes, and it is hard to have hard days and then feel even worse because you're wasting such a great opportunity. And it hasn't been like terrible or crazy or anything, but it's just like something that I've been pondering, I guess. So 4 months in, I feel super grateful. I feel like it's been very transformative. I also feel quite the same as I did, and that's something I didn't expect. It's like when I look back to even me a month ago, let alone 4 months ago, I think I've completely changed. But right now, I do feel the same as I always have. I guess maybe just more of an aligned, authentic version of myself. I think this trip has been the thing that I definitely needed, and it's the perfect time for me to come on it. And I love being excited about the things to come, and also about the further future of going home and creating a life that I actually love and feeling settled, because it's such a blessing, as I said, to feel like I know what I want and feel settled in that and not have the uncertainty of constantly wondering if that's the life I actually want. So that clarity has probably been the biggest blessing. And for now, my focus is just to enjoy the next however many months that we're here. We don't know when we're going home, but just take it week to week, day to day, be as present as I can and as grateful as I can, and appreciate this season while it's here, because I know it's going to end and I know I'll look back on it fondly, and I don't want to waste any moments of it. So for more of a physical, legitimate plan of what we're doing, we're in Germany right now. We're going to Switzerland to see some friends soon, and then we're going to make our way to Italy and spend a couple months in Italy, and then we're heading back to the UK for the British Grand Prix, and then we're going to do a road trip through England, but mostly Scotland and Ireland, I think, and then a little bit back to Wales, and then we have no plans after that. So very excited for Switzerland, lakes and mountains, and I'm also excited for Italy for lakes and mountains and hikes and beaches and pasta and gelato, and yeah, very, very, very excited because the weather is getting warmer now. We're halfway through spring and it's going to be well and truly hot very, very soon, and I think that is, going to be amazing, and I'm really, really excited about it. And my only goal is to be as present as possible. Anyway, that's the 4 month check-in, and I can't wait to see what the next 4 months bring and the version of me that emerges after the next 4 months.